Being in the middle of the woods, just you and your partner, miles away from civilization, a wonderful evening you cherish, or a recipe for disaster. Well, why not both, as a couple's time alone is soon invaded by a masked family wishing to have a little bit of fun in their own twisted way. Would you be able to survive and escape? Or would you even realize they're right behind you as we try to beat The Strangers, Chapter 1? Our film begins with a man running for his life in the middle of the forest. After falling over a stump that came out of nowhere, he's slowly approached by a masked man armed with an axe, and gets presumably chopped to pieces off camera. Well, that didn't take long. We now cut to our actual main characters, Ryan and Maya, who are doing a 3-day cross-country road trip. This has led them to Venus, a small backwoods town in Oregon where they make a pit stop for food. Unfortunately, as they try to leave after their meal, the car won't start. The mechanic conveniently placed across the street offers to fix it, but won't have the necessary parts until tomorrow, and the only place they can stay for the night is an Airbnb, which they graciously and reluctantly accept. After getting a ride from the friendly waitress, they arrive at their new temporary home, which of course is even further and deeper into the backwoods. But hey, at least they have a place for the night. Not too bad of a deal, all things considered, getting to take a break from their road trip and relax in a secluded vacation home. However, with what's soon to come for our characters this night, their little rest stop might just become their final resetting area. Let's hope they're prepared. Of course they're not, as our couple is instead busy having happy fun time in the kitchen. They get interrupted by a knock at the door and open it immediately to find a person hidden in shadows asking for someone named Tamara. They simply tell them it's the wrong house and go back to their business. That's odd, but could be an innocent enough mistake, or was it something more devious? Well, we won't know for sure until later. For right now, though, Ryan needs his inhaler, which was accidentally left in the car. Oh, whoops! But hey, that's an easy mistake to make. After all, it's only an item that helps you with breathing. How important is it? Because of this, though, Ryan borrows the motorcycle parked beside the house and goes into town for food and the ability to breathe again. This leaves Maya miles from civilization and all alone. A dream for some and a nightmare for others. And this seems to be leaning more heavily on the nightmare version, as loud sounds are heard every now and again throughout the house, objects like her cell phone are going missing or being moved, and even that girl from before comes knocking again, asking for Tamara in creepy and persistent ways. But all of that pales in comparison to the things she doesn't notice lurking just behind her, that we the audience are privy to. Such as a masked man lurking just outside of her shower. Of course, it's too early in the movie for him to do anything, so he just stands there menacingly for now. While she's blow-drying her hair afterwards, the power goes out. Using her cell phone as a light, Maya attempts to find the fuse box. However, someone else finds her first. She panics and runs upstairs, hiding within a closet. She can hear the floorboards just outside the door creaking as someone approaches. The handle turns, and it's just Ryan having returned home. They get the power back on and settle down a bit, explaining away the visitor Maya saw as mistaking a painting for a person, which in the darkness and after smoking some recreational drugs earlier is almost believable. Almost. Before they can fully calm down, though, there is yet another knock at the door. Ryan answers it, enraged that this keeps happening, and chases the girl away this time. Having believed they put a stop to the mischief, the couple finally go to eat. But of course we know there's at least one more person to deal with out and about, and it's only a matter of time before our characters discover this as well. Let's hope it's not the hard way. For now though, let's look back at things so far. First things first, when arriving at a new location, especially one you're spending the night in, you're going to want to do a thorough examination of the place. You should at minimum always know where your exits are, but checking for supplies or potential safety hazards are always important too. This is a great way to avoid danger during any threat, whether it be a fire, a zombie apocalypse, or a killer. And if you're on the more paranoid side, you might consider the entire residence to be a trap, especially with the oh-so-convenient way the car just happened to break down, and the eagerness at which the townfolk send us here for the night. And trap or not, if there is an attacker, it's likely they're already familiar with this location. Be it the owner is the assailant, or the attacker just has prior knowledge of this location from a previous visit. In any case, they potentially know the layout better than us and could use that to their advantage, so look around while you can to be aware of exits, potential entrances, where all the locks are and how to use them, and anything even remotely useful. It might just save your life if you need to get out in a hurry. As for that knocking person at the door, treat that scenario more seriously. We're far from civilization. If someone means to do us harm, it would be a while before help arrives. Use a peephole or window to see who's out there and don't open that door. Opening it puts us at risk, as there could be an attacker right there that we just exposed ourselves to. Next, whether we opened the door or just looked outside, we would notice first thing that the person's face is hidden. Ryan even takes the time to fix that porch light after they leave, and yet it's off again later, meaning they likely tampered with it. If that's the case, this tells us the person at the door hid their identity intentionally. Most people, especially those just looking for someone, wouldn't bother to do that without an ulterior motive. This is already a major red flag that something is wrong, but when they do repeat visits and once again hide their identity, it's time to call the police. Best to do so as early as possible, since it's going to take them a long time to make their way out there to us. Yet Maya calls her boyfriend instead, as if he can do anything while still in town other than rush home. As for the power outage, if we had properly inspected the location upon our initial arrival, we would know exactly where the fuse box would be for just such an occasion. More importantly though is that masked intruder that found us. This is where knowing our exits would help. However, if we couldn't get to them for some reason, or just felt safer waiting for help, we should run to a bedroom ideally. A closet is a terrible idea with limited resources, space, usually no alternative means of escape, no interior lock, and harder to keep closed since they tend to open outwards. Some of those points can also apply to a bathroom and the like. Therefore, the safest area is a bedroom, one with plenty of furniture to push in front of a door, and hopefully a window to use as an emergency exit if needed. If the intruders weren't having more fun stalking than attacking, Maya might not be with us anymore. But hey, she at least survived long enough for Ryan to return. So let's see how they fare from here. The couple is eating their food and being playfully romantic, but things go from 0 to 100 real fast, as they notice that isn't just sauce that's dripping on the table, looking up to see a freshly killed bird hanging from the ceiling. They rush to lock the door, which should have been done already honestly, but that doesn't matter much to the axe that chops through it shortly after. Going to the bedroom now, bravo, a step up from the closet, they slide the dresser in the way of the door and lock it. But the door eventually gets a hole put in it because axe still beats wood. Thankfully, the masked man just walks away afterwards. Either he doesn't want to actually hurt us, yeah, fat chance, or more likely, he just likes to play with his food. In either case, the two assume the killers are gone for now. Their current plan is to escape with the motorcycle to get into town. But that idea doesn't go too well, as the attackers blow up the bike before they can get to it. New plan, run! They do so back into the house and into the bathroom. Guys, you know that room's door is still made of wood, right? Which we already established isn't axe-proof. Thankfully though, they're able to open a fairly large vent in there that leads directly to the crawl space of the house. Not sure why that exists, but hey, just be grateful there's a way out. Using that path, they make it outside and head to the nearby shed. Not sure why you would leave one death trap just to willingly stay in another, but at least there may be something of use in there. And there is, as the killers learn the hard way, when while attacking Maya through a window, Ryan comes down with a boomstick, blasting it and scaring them away. For now at least. With their newfound weapon, they return to the house. However, upon reaching the side leading to the porch, a noise is heard of someone fiddling with the front door. Ryan steels himself before turning the corner and blasting. And well, he successfully hits his target, ending them. Unfortunately, it wasn't one of the strangers, but just the owner Joe. Rest in peace. But on the bright side, he brought his own vehicle, and since he won't be using it anytime soon, the couple decide to borrow it for their escape. And hey, props to them for actually checking the back seat. Last thing they need is a stranger hitchhiking with them on the way to town. Oh, and another great move by Maya, who uses the dead man's cell phone to start calling for police. Nice. But of course it can't be that easy, as the masked man drives a pickup truck into their Jeep, pinning them against a tree. Ryan is stuck thanks to this, but Maya is able to escape through the window as her boyfriend shouts for her to just run. He's not going down without a fight himself, however, as he uses the shotgun to force the assailant to retreat, followed by eventually freeing himself. But now where is his partner? And where did the rest of the killers go for that matter? Well, while he's looking for them, let's look over everything that just happened. So when the killers first attacked, the couple hid inside a bedroom. While this is a step up from the closet as mentioned before, this is the time to do the opposite. and instead head for the nearest exit. We shouldn't keep ourselves trapped inside a building with an axe-wielding maniac and instead should get out of there. Doing so after barricading the bedroom isn't a bad idea, as it makes the killer waste time breaking everything down, but our characters don't do that, since the room they stayed in has boarded up windows keeping them locked in. Which is why, again, you check the place out when first arriving so you know where to go for quick escapes. Once outside from the crawl space, that would be the ideal time to just hoof it back to town through the woods, assuming they know the general direction. Heading to the shed has the pros of a potential weapon, but also the cons of keeping us in proximity to the killers. If we are away from them, we don't need to risk combat at all, which the shed may not even help us with if we're unlucky. Fortunately for our characters, they do find a shotgun with plenty of ammo. So once we have that, we have two ideal options. Hunker down and wait for help to arrive, keeping killers at bay with the firearm, or now head into town. Since the weapon has limited rounds and since staying put allows the killers to get the drop on us, it's the more risky plan. Especially since at this point no one will be coming to check on us until tomorrow evening, and I don't think we have enough shells to last that long. But if instead we head into town, we not only have a head start on the killers, but also a way to defend ourselves from a distance if they start to approach, which we should easily be able to see coming. Just have to stay out in the open more, watch each other's backs, and keep moving towards civilization. If we are going to stay and play with the new weapon, however, we need to practice basic gun safety and always check our targets. Had they done this simple tactic, Joe would still be alive and they would have someone else to help them escape and fight back. Or more coldly, another victim to distract the killers with. Remember, you don't always have to outrun your attacker to survive, only the other targets next to you. We now see Maya running through the woods in the same area the man from the start of the film did, and she does a risky yet clever tactic of hiding amongst the forest debris for safety. It works, allowing her to finish calling the cops. The phone loses its signal though because horror film, but at least help should now be on its way. They just have to hold out until that time and Maya is immediately caught. Well, let's just hope Ryan can do better. Well, he's running through the woods blindly while shouting for Maya, giving away his position. Can't exactly blame him though, as that's the best way to find her and he should be well protected with his weapon in hand. And despite this, he actually manages to get the drop on one of the attackers somehow. But for some reason, he chooses to now of all times not be trigger happy and instead just holds the stalker at gunpoint, demanding to know where Maya is. She doesn't exactly cooperate though, so he keeps screaming and demanding answers, to the point where he doesn't notice the masked man approaching from behind until it's too late. Ryan is knocked out too. Darn, our characters were so close to something resembling competence too. Ryan wakes up bound to a chair next to Maya, who's already awake and also bound. After a heartwarming reunion, Ryan proposes to her, since he never got to do that before. While this isn't exactly the most romantic of moments, if they survive, it certainly will be a memorable one. The masked strangers don't appear to be moved at all by their love, however, as they insert a blade into his chest and kick him over to bleed out in front of his partner. How sick and twisted can you get? Pretty sick apparently, as after simply explaining they do this just because they can, they shank and kick over Maya as well, just in time for the authorities to arrive, fashionably late as usual. But this might not be the end for one of our characters at least, as we cut to Maya recovering in a hospital bed, as we're sequel baited with a "to be continued." Kind of an anticlimactic ending, to be honest. But although the ending was short, let's look back to see if anything could have been done differently. Well, for starters, after Ryan had chased away the killers, he had access to a fully functional truck with the keys still in the ignition. This gives us a choice of either ignoring it like he does in the film, looking through it for supplies or stowaway killers hiding in the back or bed of the truck, which we should do to be extra precautious. Or we could hijack the truck for ourselves, now having a way to get into town for help. We can always come back with help for Maya later, if she's still alive. And thinking with cold logic, this strategy should ensure we survive at the very least. Even if we didn't want to abandon our partner, we could still drive around in the truck for better mobility and some safety while we search for them, running over or blasting any stalkers we come across in the process. This also removes a pretty big resource from the killers, limiting their mobility through the woods. There is almost no reason not to take the truck in this scenario. As for getting the drop on one of the killers, we have another choice to make. Keep them alive or end them now. Keeping them alive could allow us information if we can interrogate them, and would give us leverage in the form of a hostage situation, or somebody to trade for Maya if the killers kept her alive. That's a big if, however, and for all these situations, we would have a potential threat on our hands. Alternatively, if we just pull the trigger, that's one less threat to deal with out in these woods. But the other strangers might not take kindly to this, and could hurt Maya for revenge. In my opinion, I say, do the best of both worlds. Interrogate the hostage, and if she refuses to cooperate like she does in the film, blow a kneecap out. That should get her full attention as well as show her we're serious. This way we still have a living person to trade if needed, could still get information, and should make them significantly less threatening if they need to crawl to attack. Regardless of our decision, you should never hold a firearm directly against the person you wish to take hostage. This gives them an idea of where the weapon is, which could give them a chance to move out of its way or get a hold of it. Ryan stupidly tells the person to turn around and do exactly just that. Grab the gun and get control of it. Thankfully, they're crazy and aim it at themselves, but that easily could have led to the killer blocking us from shooting at them, or worse, getting the gun and using it on us. And the last thing to note is the stab wounds the two receive at the end. While painful and eventually deadly, it would take a while for a wound like that to cause us to bleed out. And with first responders so close, we absolutely should survive, much like Maya seems to in the film. But to increase our chances of survival, we should try to land on our backs so that gravity helps keep some of the blood in, or flat on our stomachs to have the ground apply pressure to our injury. Both of these things are much easier said than done while strapped to a chair, but it's worth noting in case we could roll over, or if we're ever in a non-chair tied situation. Every second counts for survival, so prolong your life as much as possible where you can. So in the end, at least one of them survived. Well, maybe Ryan and that man from the start did as well, since neither of their deaths were confirmed on screen. Still, everyone could have almost surely lived if some general safety precautions and practices were taken. So, stay safe out there, know your whereabouts and defenses, and be careful when it comes to dealing with strangers. And with that said, thanks for watching as always, my friends. Take care and binge another one.